What's up, everybody? Thralls Metal here once again. I'm Necrotic Nick.
I'm Jammin John.
And we have an album review for you. So, alright, paraphrase this one that we were at one point fans of this band, and that is why we are reviewing it. So we kind of decided, why the fuck not go over the latest offering from Disturbed. Divisive. This comes out on the 18th of November on Reprise Records. This band formed in 1994 in Chicago. This is their 8th studio album overall, and they are new metal, industrial metal, kind of heavy metal, hard rock, immensely popular band. I've seen them twice, way back.
I've seen them once, way back when.
2000, 2001 at Ozfest. I was a pretty big fan for a while. I enjoyed them.
Yeah, I was too at one time. I think I even mentioned them in one of my early, what got me into metal or heavy music or something like that. The first record I thought was pretty cool. Now, granted, I was also 18, 19 years old and didn't really know what I know now. But I mean, I was a fan at one point. So.
Yeah. And tastes change over years, and you get into new things, you get out of old things. Sometimes you come back to old things like, oh wow, I missed this. Sometimes you come back to old things like, oh well, okay.
Right.
And, well, alright. Disturbed definitely has a sound. It's pretty much memeable at this point because tons of memes have been made. They love just their sort of syncopated kind of hard rock industrial sound. Like there's all sorts of bloops and bleeps in the background, and again, syncopated chugs, very straightforward drums. Like it's very groove laden, and they've been doing it for years, and at least to me, kind of been putting out the same album for a while now. But I wanted to give this one a chance and check it out after the last album, Evolution, kind of irked people, I guess. Like some of the longtime fans were like, this is kind of too soft. I remember Blaine trolling the hell out of it on Banger TV, which was admittedly pretty fucking funny. And I only heard the singles from it, and I flat out skipped it altogether. I was like, nah, I'm good. Doesn't really offer much. I think the most news I saw about it was David Draymond took out the piercings in his lip. So he went from looking like he worked at Hot Topic to like he was the CEO. Congratulations.
Not Topic.
But the topic of this is this album itself. And, alright, it's a Disturbed album.
It is. In fact, if you're still a Disturbed fan to this day, you're gonna love this record.
Now, we're gonna get deeper than that, but
yes,
that is kind of right away the thing to tell you. Like, if you were to expect anything remotely different from Disturbed at this point in their career, I think maybe we kind of warranted, because I figure you've been kind of tired of just hearing the same album over and over again, because, I mean, honestly, this is like Indestructible, this is like Immortal, or whatever the last one was with the mountains and
I'm
shit.
Gonna be honest, I have no idea. I listened to...
It's got the same smiley dude on it.
Yeah.
It's kind of just the formula, and, I guess they don't want to fuck with success because they've been so successful with this. I mean, they've sold a fuck ton of albums doing this, so I don't know. But I mean, we listen to a lot of artists that continuously like to creatively push themselves and, try different things. And this album takes not a single chance.
No.
Like,
not at all.
This is Disturbed to a T. I will say that it is heavier than the last album from what I heard.
Well, okay, maybe than the last album.
Yeah.
I didn't even listen to the last album. I shit the bed on that one. And there's definitely heavy moments in here.
I mean, dude, the guitars are heavy. There's a lot of driving rhythms, a lot of just, syncopated grooves, and, like double bass to sort of get you into them, like a little bit more breakdown. And of course, you have David Draymond doing
what he does.
Draymond things. I used to be a big fan of his vocal style because it was different at the time. Like, when The Sickness came out, I don't think anyone else was doing a vocal style like that. He had something unique there. And then he fucking drove it into the fucking ground. Which, it sucks because occasionally he has moments where he's kind of getting outside of that box and doing some more singing on here, like Feeding the Fire and Part of Me. Like, he does some more sing-songy stuff. Like, it's not the mina, mama, mina, you know, the fucking thing.
Right.
But inevitably, he goes back to, well, because that is such a huge part of their sound. And a lot of this, I think, is sort of pandering to a fan base.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, it's kind of like their catchphrase, you know? You do it so often that, you know, how can you not have a record with Mina Mana Mean?
Yeah.
Mina Mama.
I mean, when the breakdown hits on Part of Me, there's a big old fat waka kaka to fucking set it off. And you can't have a Disturbed album without a waka kaka. Like, that's, you know.
Have you guys ever seen that mock infomercial where they hit songs such as Mana Mana Na 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 Na, or hit songs such as Waka Aka Aka? Like, that's what this is.
Yeah. And again, he gets slightly outside of that vocal thing that he does, which again, huge part of their sound. But when he does, like, I was like, all right, that's actually pretty good. Like, there's some good melodies in there. And, you know, they even kind of take a chance with a ballad on here with Don't Tell Me that actually features Ann Wilson from Heart. And, man, Ann Wilson can still fucking belt it out. Like,
yes, she can.
She's fucking awesome.
At 72 years old, we looked it up. Good God, you still have pipes, madam. And it sounded great. This is actually one of my favorite tracks on the album. Not only are her vocals great, but they sound a lot darker, too.
Yeah.
A lot darker than Dave's vocals.
Apparently she wanted to be on this album or work with the band because she really liked their cover of Sound of Silence, which I fucking hate that cover.
Agreed. Because
I'm such a fan of the original and how soft and subdued and, you know, it's just a dark but poppy song. And then they turn it into this fucking almost symphonic butt rock anthem and just fucking wrecked it. Like, unfucking forgivable, which should have been the name of the album that it was on.
Symphonic butt rock.
But I will admit that Don't Tell Me is pretty heartfelt. I believe it is about Dan Dunnigan's divorce. And, I mean, me being the shitty, cynical human that I am was like, man, this sounds like a bunch of drunk texts to the ex-wife. But, admittedly, when it's delivered by Anne and David to this one, you know, don't get too, you know, egotistical in that one, David. If you heard that one, most of your interviews sound like you sucking your own dick. Yes, we all know how great that you think you are. Like, I get so tired of that in the interviews. Like, it's just such arrogance. But they sound good together.
I miss your piercings. Why did you have to grow up?
But this is heartfelt. I will say that, and it is pretty well done. I think it takes too much time building up to get to the very grand chorus on it. But you know, it's a decent song. And that's kind of different from a lot of the songs in here because a lot of the songs in here feel like they are in a rush to get to the big hooky chorus. Like, they just deliver some lines, you know, lay into the breakdown. There's some industrial Mortal Kombat samples, you know, kind of peppered in there. And then it's off to the chorus. Rock on the Range.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. It's very formulaic. Even on the race to get to the grand chorus, all these songs sound the same. I'm just gonna say it.
They do. They do. Disturbed has a formula. And, I mean, we listen to a lot of bands that definitely have a formula, but when it comes down to execution, like, all right, if you were off-put by the last album, I would say that this might sound refreshing. There is some stuff on here that admittedly kind of does sound like The Sickness, but for me, like, listening to this band for years and really not hearing them grow musically, this kind of just sounds like the same output. Like, granted, yeah, it's a little bit heavier. It sounds, you know, like more muscular, but there isn't a lot of imagination in these songs. Like, it's, again, basic structure, get to the chorus, breakdown that's kind of there, like the opening track, Hey You, which I believe was the lead-off single. Like, when you get down to the breakdown or bridge, it's just him just saying there's too many of us. And it's just sort of this basic syncopated thing, and it doesn't even hang out very long and goes right back to the chorus.
Yep.
And that is a lot of the structure of these songs.
Except for the song Unstoppable with the disco rhythm, and then that one, look, there's like half of a measure where it's this really chuggy riff.
Yeah.
But that's the only time you get it.
Yeah. Like, there is a riff on there that is maybe slightly different than the standard stuff they do. Like, every now and then Dan does like to throw in like a good like classic heavy metal riff, but a lot of it is syncopate and follow the drums so David can do the phenomenas over it. But there are some cool riffs on there, and that disco rhythm is kind of fun.
It's like, catchy.
It is. Like it's, kind of like, that old love of Static X and stuff like that. Like,
yeah,
it's got a bouncy groove to it. It's pretty fun. But a lot of these songs, they stick so rigidly to the formula that there's almost really no need to, like, listen to all of them. Like, some of these are skippable. Yep. Like, Take Back Your Life.
Yep.
Honestly, I don't remember much about that song because it sounded so much like other songs. Like, Love to Hate, too. Like, the most I can say about it is it sounds like a Disturbed song.
It sounds like the first two songs. In fact, I wrote at least 5 times, it sounds like another song on this album.
Yeah.
It really does. I will shout out a couple leads. The lead in Bad Man, the lead in Divisive, the lead in Feeding the Fire. Not bad leads. I'm gonna be honest.
No, they're good, actually.
They're actually the standout moments of the record. But to be able to tell you what song they're in without having written them down, can't.
Yeah, and there's also the production on here, which is very overproduced. I mean, I kind of knew it would be. Like, Disturbed has always had very huge production, but this sounds like, I don't know, like just too much, especially on the drums. The drums don't even sound real. I'll be honest.
They really don't. In fact, they're so overproduced that they sound like electronic drums. Like, they could have easily, been in the studio in post-production and replaced everything with, like, Easy Drummer. Because it sounds so robotic. Nothing sounds real.
Yeah.
At all.
I mean, and you got this constant, like, industrial clatter going on in the background. I guess that sort of makes sense to have more industrial-sounding drums, but, they have a drummer. Like, why can't the drums sound like they're real drums? They've sounded like real drums before.
I agree.
A thing we were talking about before this is, like, we were talking about Sevendust and how we're actually still fans of that band, but to a degree, Disturbed and Sevendust are definitely cut from the same cloth in terms of their style. Like, they have that old school nu metal style.
Yep.
They both love heavy syncopation,
yep,
the big bouncy grooves.
Yep.
But why do I like that band more than I like Disturbed? And, we were trying to break that down because fundamentally they are similar. I mean,
very similar as far as, structure of overall things. But, I mean, to me, Sevendust, first of all, vocally, no contest.
Yeah, no, like, Lejean's amazing.
Lejean's amazing. Lejean has, there's backing vocals. You've got Clint. You've got Morgan that throws in and growls every now and again. And the dynamic that everybody shares in that band vocally, they've found this way to, smoosh it all together and make it sound really good, which makes each of those songs memorable because there's even melodic differences between them.
And there's a way to find different vocal hooks in there, too, with 3 different singers. Disturbed goes to the vocal well a lot. Like, the same vocal well that they've always gone to, it's, again, a giant part of their sound, but everything being so robotic all the time, there's like a little bit of looseness with Sevendust that I like, Here, I mean, it just sounds like this was written by a fucking bot. Like, they literally took all of Disturbed songs, fed it to a bot, and was like, all right, write me a song. Almost the same thing with the lyrics. I will say, like, some of these lyrics are a little bit more politically charged or socio-political, but unfortunately, they're kind of lost with the songs, because the songs, again, kind of just sound like the last song you listened to by Disturbed.
Like, I like Mana Mana. I like the Muppets. I do. That's the Mana Mana I will accept.
But see, whenever the Mana Mana guy goes off the fucking rails, they just look at him and tell him, like, all right, I'm back to it.
Right, I'm sorry. Reel it in.
That's maybe Disturbed right there. It's like, oh, you did something different. So stop that. Yeah, I think, like, anytime, like, anything remotely different tries to squeak its way in here, it is snuffed out to just get back to what they do. And granted, again, if you love Disturbed, you're probably going to really love this. And if you've loved Disturbed for this long, and the fact that they really haven't changed for this long, you're probably gonna like this too. But for me, like, this band has gotten really stale. Like, super stale to the point where a lot of their songs on, I would say, 10,000 Fists all the way to right fucking now are pretty interchangeable. Like, there's very slight variations between them. But to me, at this point in the game, in terms of, like, listening to lots of cool creative bands and a lot of old bands that continue to push themselves creatively, this is just kind of generic. Like, it is literally just there. Executed well for what it is. I will give it that, but definitely not really that interesting at all. So overall, I want to give it 2 stars. Like, it's a Disturbed album. for what Disturbed does, I think this is decent. Like, I mean, I think like albums like 10,000 Fists were better. They were a little bit more energetic and admittedly a little bit more creative. This is just kind of them maybe reestablishing their sound after the last one. Like, they took too many chances going softer, but still kind of just spreading the same stuff on the last one, and now they're trying to get heavier again. And I mean, it's heavier, but it's not particularly that interesting. Like, it just goes to the well so often, and if you are tired of Disturbed sound and how repetitive that it gets, then there's really not much of a reason for you to listen to this, because it is a lot of the same stuff. But if you are a diehard Disturbed fan and you love their sound, all of their sound is here. Everything you like about Disturbed is here, and I urge you to check it out. And again, even if you're not a fan and you want to give this one a chance, I still say check it out, form your own opinions. Don't just trust me. I'm just some dude that pretty much retired most nu metal a long time ago, but occasionally we'll revisit it just to see if there's still that spark there. And no, not here. But take it away, John.
It's a 1.5 for me. It's meh. You know, like we talked about, I too was once a Disturbed fan. Back, honestly, around the time this shirt was out. I won't stand up, but this Seven Dust shirt I purchased on the home tour, 99 to 2000. And about that same time, I was also a Disturbed fan. You know, like when on the 4th of July, especially if you live in a state where fireworks are illegal. If you live in a state where fireworks are illegal and you get your hands on some really big fireworks and you're like, all right, fuck the cops, I'm gonna do it. And you light it, right? And it goes up and it's BAM! And car alarms go off and you're like, alright, I'm done. Whew, I think we're going to jail. Like, it's kind of like that. They lit a firework and boom, it exploded. It was really nice, but let's be careful. Let's be careful and go back inside. Let's just stop. Let's go back to what we're used to, and that's what we're gonna do. There's not a lot going on in this record. I gotta be completely honest. I thought that maybe, you know, just maybe there was a chance that they could have, you know, taken the whatever time they took off from the last record. I didn't even listen to the last record, but whatever time they took off, that maybe, you know, they decided to incorporate some new things or just get a little bit heavier or whatnot. Aside from Don't Tell Me with Ann Wilson, there's really not a lot going on here. However, much like Nick said too, if you're a Disturbed fan and you've been a diehard Disturbed fan for forever, and your opinions are, you know, unchanged by whatever's gone on with the last 8 records, you're probably really gonna like this. There are a couple heavy moments in this album. The lead work is somewhat decent when it appears on 3 out of 10 songs. But I'm not gonna sugarcoat something that isn't there. There was a time many moons ago where I would have really loved this, but I, you know, much like Nick, have hung up that nu metal hat a long time ago, and we'll also on occasion revisit it to see if the magic is still there. But much like the one firework you've lit, the spark has been extinguished, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Whatever, and once again, like Nick said, you don't have to listen to us. I wouldn't. The fact that 13,000 of you still listen to us on a regular basis is mind-blowing. Unlike this record, which was not mind-blowing.
No, this album definitely fits in a box. The same box the last 4 albums came in. So, if you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up, and if you're new to the channel, subscribe, because we do stuff like this all the time. We are also on Patreon. If you'd like to help us out there, there's a link down below to thrallsmetal.com. Our store is there, as well as our Patreon link. Check out both. We still have some shirts. I think we need to get some extra larges, but we will eventually do that and eventually load up with different merch too. That is still in the test phases once again.
Yep, like the grenades.
Oh, the testing for the grenades is going to be so much fun. And of course, thank you all so much for liking, subscribing, following, all that shit. The thank you part of the video, I'm always going to do it because I'm always fucking thankful, because this shit is a lot of fun and you guys make it fucking fun. This is awesome doing this. It's awesome talking to you guys. It's just awesome. I think I said that enough.
But you know what's really awesome? You guys. Thank you. I realize he probably said close to the same thing, if not verbatim.
The same thing.
I just said it in a different tone because his voice is deeper than mine.
It is.
Which you all have guessed by now. But no, look, thank you for real for continuing to stop in. We did just actually pass 13,000 subscribers. Holy shit.
That's crazy.
13,000 people watch this channel.
Thank you.
My goodness. I am almost beyond words. I never thought it would get this far. And the fact that it is still going and is still, become such a big part of our lives. This is like a second fucking full-time job.
Yeah.
But this is the best job I think that, I will ever have, because it's not really a job, I enjoy this. We both enjoy this. We all enjoy this, man. We're metal.
Yeah.
Got to hang out with some of our metal family last night. It's just a thing. And I'm so glad that this is it and that you're all here and continuing to tune in spite of the fact that we're idiots.
That is grossly true.
Yeah, but thank you very much.
And with that, we will catch you later.